for reapportionment under the rule laid down by the United States Supreme Court in its recent crazy ruling will take away the representation from a great number of the counties in this state. Now, I hope sincerely that you pass the resolutions that have already been introduced in both houses, calling upon the National Congress to submit to us, the people of the nation, a constitutional amendment to the United States Constitution so that we can make clear to this misguided group of people who are supposed to be judges on the U.S. Supreme Court that we don't want this kind of interference in our affairs. But if we must face the situation as it is, since the United States Supreme Court has announced its decision on the subject of reapportionment of state legislatures, chaos has occurred in several states. We have been fortunate, indeed, to have thus far avoided such confusion here in Arkansas. To my mind, Oklahoma and Illinois are examples of how ridiculous conditions can become when the one-man, one-vote requirement is enforced in an arbitrary manner. The state of Oklahoma was ripped into shreds by a federal court order. Redistricting was done by computer without any consideration for the human element. The legislature itself was abolished, and special elections were required. Whoever thought we'd live to see the day when an agency of the federal government could abolish the sovereign legislature of the sovereign state? Then in Illinois, all members in the House of Representatives were required to run at large. The ballot for just the election of House members was as big as a dining room tabletop. The voting machines, which had been in use in that state for many years, were rendered useless. Trucks were used to gather and transport hundreds of thousands of the huge ballots. Voters had to make 186 different choices, each individual voter, by the members of the House. And it took weeks to count the ballots and determine the results of the election. Now, from 1874 until 1936, apportionment was a legislative duty. However, through Amendment 23, the people of Arkansas chose to delegate this duty to a board of apportionment consisting of 3 members of the executive branch of the state government with the right of appeal by any citizen to the state Supreme Court. Again, in 1956, the people of Arkansas reaffirmed their desire to continue this method of apportionment when they approved Amendment 45 to our state constitution. So the duty to reapportion the legislature now rests in this board of apportionment, of which I happen to be unfortunate enough to be one of the members. Now, with a reasonable degree of patience on the part of the federal district court here in Little Rock, where our legislative apportionment case is now pending, the Board of Apportionment can and will discharge its duty to meet the requirements of the United States Constitution as interpreted by the United States Supreme Court. As chairman of the Board of Apportionment, I pledge to the people of Arkansas that no matter how much I may disagree with the federal court decisions on this subject, I will do my utmost to comply with the requirements of the Supreme Court's decision. We trust the board will be given a reasonable opportunity to act if the decision of the federal court requires reapportionment. Now, the other is congressional redistricting. We've been through that twice already, I believe, General Assembly and myself. Now we face it a third time. The right to district the state for purposes of representation in the National House of Representatives has been ours from the day Arkansas became a state in 1836. A suit on this matter is now pending in the Federal District Court here in Little Rock. It is my understanding that when the congressional districting law in any state is challenged, and the challenge is upheld, then the state is given a reasonable period of time in which to meet the requirements of the one-man, one-vote theory decision. In other words, the several congressional districts in any state should be approximately equal in population. I say approximately equal in population because an exact numerical requirement is impossible to attain. For example, if it were attained one day, the births and deaths would change it the next, or the movement of people. Here again, we will face up to our duty to redefine our congressional districts if the courts decide we must. If we are given a reasonable period of time within which to accomplish this difficult task, we probably won't need as much time as the courts have allowed in other states. This is our problem, and we have the right under the Constitution of the United States to deal with it in an orderly fashion, so long as our actions demonstrate our good faith in meeting our